Welcome to State Scoop TV. I'm Jake Williams. Today our guest is Kelly Samson-Rickert. She's from the great state of Maine, and today we're going to be talking about workforce. How you doing, Kelly?
All right. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, Kelly, what are you seeing across your state when it comes to the IT workforce?
Well, we're definitely seeing that we have an aging workforce in the state of Maine, in general, right? And we're seeing that across the nation. In our IT workforce, we're seeing a lot of new development, new technologies, and we're also seeing, that switch over from the legacy system to new developing systems. So we're seeing a lot of talent in our workforce right now. We're seeing folks that really are eager to learn and to learn the newest technologies. And so we're seeing both ends of the spectrum, I guess, with our workforce in terms of our technical skills and our people.
That's great. So what are some of the innovative approaches that you're taking in Maine to really attract a new class of state IT workers?
Well, we have developed a pipeline for internships and mentoring. That's been ongoing. It's probably about 3 years now that we've had our program in place, but we have about 75% retention. So we are keeping our interns, and they're coming on board as full-time workers. I think the biggest and the greatest experience that we have with that is the mentorship. Our employees are developing those interns, and so there's a lot of pride about the fact that they're getting them up to speed. They're keeping them on their teams. They like them. And so that's really working for us. We're reaching out to veterans. Maine has one of the largest populations of veterans, and also we have about 50% of our veterans that are not employed in the state of Maine. So we're really reaching out hard to see what we can do, possibly to get in an IT boot camp or something of that nature to bring veterans into our program. So that's a couple things that we're doing.
That's great. And if those initiatives and initiatives like it, if they're successful, what do you expect and hope that the end outcome will be for your workforce?
Well, we want to always listen to our workforce to find out what their needs are, right? And so we're hearing from our workforce that they do like the internship and they like the mentoring experience. So we'll probably continue with that because it is a successful program that's working well. And then in terms of outcomes, we like to see that we retain the interns with us at least for a few years. We know that some of the talent might want to go elsewhere once they get up some skills. So we expect that we'll keep some with us, but we also expect that we'll grow some in the IT world. But we want them to stay in IT, right? So we can share the wealth. So that's one thing that we would expect as an outcome. We would expect as an outcome to hire more veterans and more women in the workforce. We're seeing a population group of women that are declining when it comes to women in technology. And so we're really starting now to develop a program. We just kicked it off in August, and that was Women for IT. And we're meeting monthly now, and we're trying to just get our senior leadership of women with our younger folks or our workforce of women. So senior leaders and then IT workers together so that we have that network and we can support each other as a minority group, of which we are in our workforce, because we're only about 38% of us are females in our IT workforce. So we're really focused on the intern and mentorship program, the veterans and the women in the workforce right now. Outcomes would be that we have a successful workforce that can develop and work together with the newer technologies, as well as keeping our legacy systems up and running. So the success is being able to deliver the services we need to our agencies. That's the bottom line, right?
And so, you mentioned in that answer, new technologies as well as keeping legacy technologies running and operational. How does your workforce strategy really enable you and your department to be more successful in some of the other top priorities of state CIOs and top state IT priorities?
Well, we listen and learn, right? And so we really focus a lot strategically on what our 5-year plan is that has set in front of us, by our senior leadership. And so we focus on what those goals are, and we don't lose sight of, where we're going. But then again, you have to have that flexibility, that agility to be able to be flexible and to understand that you can't do everything at one time. So we take small bites. And all the way through, when I first started, it was called Workforce Development. We have since changed our department's name to Workforce Innovations because we realized that it's more than just developing what you have now, but it's what's going on, what are you looking for in the future? And how do you get that future integrated? And you do that with iterations, with trying different things, failing fast, using the agile approach, right, and the business process improvement approach to all of the avenues that you reach out to in workforce. So whether it's the recruitment and the hiring, or whether it's retention and training and developing people within, or succession planning, any of those pillars, you're still looking at what's working now, what's not working, how do you make it better, how do you get the input that you need from all levels of the workforce to feed that information pipeline that you need to continuously improve. So that's what we do.
That's outstanding. And then my last question for you, I mean, you know, what's really exciting about you is that you proactively reached out to me to say, hey, we have this amazing story to tell on workforce. But when it comes to the work that you've done with workforce, I mean, what aspect of working on developing a new workforce for Maine and maintaining your current workforce, what aspect of that are you most passionate about?
Well, I'm passionate about what I do. And so there it is. If, you know, I go to work every day loving what I do. I'm passionate about helping people develop, helping people grow, finding out, you know, just the small wins, right? Even if it's just bringing in that one veteran that didn't have a job before, or bringing in that adult learner that was unemployed and now they're working in a productive workforce. You know, small things like that are what turn me on, that really make it a passion for me to develop workforce innovation practices in our organization. And I think that shows in, you know, what we deliver. And I think that supports the strategy of the senior team and what we're doing to really make sure that not only do we foster the growth that we need for today, but how are we going to get the growth that we need for tomorrow? How are we going to always be thinking ahead, thinking 20 steps ahead, you know, as to where we need to go? And my passion lies within how do we project, how do we forecast where we need to go, how to do that data analysis to really make sure that we're doing and heading in the right direction, number one. And number two, also researching a lot. I love to research. I'm a data hound. So I like to research not only what we're doing now and where we're going in the future, but also what have people tried before that worked really well. Because sometimes we can reflect on some of those things and say, hey, you know, that TQM stuff, that lean, that Six Sigma, I mean, that was way back in the 80s, right? And now it's on the forefront in our workplace right now today. So obviously it was working then. I don't know what happened in between, but now it's back on the surface again and back in the visual workspace. And so I think honing back into some of those, you know, best practices at work is really important too, and not throwing those away as you move forward.
That's outstanding.
So, is that what you need?
Yeah, that's amazing. So thank you so much for being with us, Kelly. Yeah. For more coverage on workforce and all of the great work that's happening in Maine in that topic area, check out statescoop.com for all the latest news and events in state and local information technology. Thanks for watching.